Yeah. All right, welcome to the Veets podcast. Today we've got Rita Desnoyers-Garcia with us. She's a coach, author, comedian, and mother of three who transformed a personal burnout moment into a proven system for thriving in both business and family life. Through her Calm Mom Alliance, she guides professional moms to trade guilt and perfectionism for confidence, joy, and real results. Rita will share the mindset shifts and daily practices that helped her build a happier home and a stronger business and can help you do the same. Thank you so much, Rita, for being here. Appreciate you joining in on our first podcast and excited to kind of learn what you've learned and help others get some ideas and some insight into what they might be able to do in their business. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. I am so honored to be here. I'm so happy to be doing this.
Awesome. All right. So I'll go ahead and jump right in and get some questions going for you here. What got you started? Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you were running your own business. If this wasn't your first activity out of college or your first avenue of work. And then yeah, I'd love to learn how you got into what you're doing. What steered you into your current line of work?
Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to try to be brief. I know that's a challenge, but I will try to do this. So I am a social worker. That's my degree is in, I have a master's in social work and I was working in New York City for 10 years. So wasn't a business owner at all. In fact, I didn't even think that was a possibility. It was kind of scary, you know? I was looking for a steady paycheck. I was fine with a boss, all that stuff. Then we had our first kid and we moved to the suburbs. My husband and I, he has a job that he was commuting into New York City. We were living in New Jersey, started having kids. And for some reason, I thought I wasn't busy enough. I think it was a yearning inside of me that I needed to do something just for me and not as a mom. And so my first business was I taught Mexican cooking classes in my home. Yeah, we bought a house that was a very like 80s or 90s big appliance type kitchen with like a 6 burner stove and a fancy refrigerator. So it was just like, this is like a restaurant kitchen. And we had dined at the local Mexican restaurant and it wasn't so great. And I was like, I could do better than that. And then got the idea, wait, what if I just took some of my mother-in-law's recipes and invited some ladies over and gave them margaritas and cooked for them. So this is when I'm like 4 months pregnant with my second kid. So I did that business. That was my first business. And it was very exciting. And it really wasn't a cooking class. It was more like me cooking for them and them having margaritas. But I was like, tell your husbands you're taking a cooking class. Anyway, it was a lot of
Nice,
fun.
nice. Yeah.
And then around 8 months, I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't stand that long and it was I learned a lot about pricing and real labor, all that stuff. So that was my first business. Then I had my second child. Then I had my third child, four kids, 4 and under, and I wasn't busy enough again, had to do another business. So I sold essential oils. And when I first started that, I was just whoever was in 3 feet of me, they tell you, go after them. And after I alienated all of my friends and family, I decided there had to be another way. And I started marketing on the phone. And that's when everything imploded. I had decided not to have any babysitters. I was just going to do it all while my kids just hovered around the house. I had screaming kids on my knee as I'm trying to close a client. It was just a disaster.
Yeah.
And what happened there was one day I got this sort of bad news that things were not going well. And I muted the phone. We were like in a meeting. I muted the phone and all of my insecurities came up. All of you're a failure. You don't know what you're doing. You always quit things. You were going to save your family. Now you're ruining your family. And then my kids saw me crying, so they're crying. So it's like we're all crying on the floor together. And I'm so glad that happened, Matt, because that was when I was desperate enough to find a different way to do things. And that's when I finally reached out for help from a coach. I thought he was going to help me just close business, but he actually helped me figure out what my core beliefs were that was driving me and motivating me to go, 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 and not see the results, like what was getting in my way. And the biggest game changer for me at that time was I had no compassion for myself, like zero. I had compassion for everyone else in my life except for me. I was always judging myself. It was never enough. I was never working hard enough. I was always trying to, be worthy and earn stuff. And when you're motivated that way, you're going to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably not going to, and it's never going to be enough money, and it's never going to be enough business because you're not enough at your core. That's what you feel like. So I started working with him, and after a couple of months, I saw a significant shift in my mood. First of all, I wasn't crying all the time every time I talked to him. And second of all, I realized when I actually gave myself a break, I felt so much relief. I felt energy coming back into my body, and I was much clearer with what I wanted, what I could do. I was more grounded. So I started reaching out to my friends and saying, hey, ladies, are you miserable? Because I was miserable. And I got some tricks and hacks here. Are you interested? And 3 of those 10 women said yes. And that was my first coaching group that lasted for 2 years. And we got together every week, and we just did compassion stuff, meditation, mindfulness. I started writing like, what are they called? Guided meditations. I made a recording of them. I started writing workbooks like the Self-Compassion Project. It really blossomed all that stuff. So that was the first iteration of my coaching career, was my own failures, my own stuckness that I needed out of. So that's what I love about coaching, is that you can take all the crap that happens in your life and turn it into something amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us as business owners can relate, because when you're saying you're kind of like your lowest low led to the opportunity to do something different. I know, for myself, I had a similar experience where something that seemed terrible at the time, I look back at and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that happened because I can see where it led me." And I love also that you. Were able to find things that were not optimal or things that you found as challenging for yourself, and see that as the problem that needed a solution, and then just reached out and found others that had that same problem, and that was your start of the business. So I think for listeners that might be wondering if they're not in business yet, or if they're not happy with their current business, um, perhaps it's just a matter of finding those problems that they have that they really would love a solution to. Maybe they've had a problem and solved it, and that could be kind of an inkling of an idea, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the expression now, but it is that effect of whatever your problem is actually the solution underneath. The other side of fear is freedom. It's sort of like what you're dreading
Yeah.
is your answer, in a
Yeah.
way, when you get to the other side of it, when you can see it from a different angle.
Yeah. Well, so you teach moms to view challenges as chances for connection and even laughter. Can you
Yeah.
share a recent example, either from your life or our clients, where reframing a crisis kept both business and family on track?
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I explored in my life was comedy. It's been a lifelong interest of mine. And then I took a course in stand-up comedy, and I started teaching stand-up comedy to moms, not so they could have an HBO special, although they could if they wanted, but just to find the funny stuff in their life. And the reason I started doing that was because someone asked me to teach some of her friends comedy, and I noticed women would come in like complaining and depleted, and I can't believe you're not going to believe the week I had. And by the end, they were laughing. And one of the women said, I realized that all of the junk that happens in my life is really just material for my comedy set. And I said, yes, that's the secret to life right there. Like, remember that. That's the template. It's just fodder. It's not all life and death. It really isn't. And as moms, we kind of take our role very seriously, which is important, but we take ourselves so seriously that everything feels like, oh no. And sometimes it's just like, oh well, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
another adventure in the life of Rita, and the craziness that happens. And when you can do that, it literally changes your physiology. It calms you down, helps you be, once again, be more grounded, more focused, more confident, and to be able to roll with the punches instead of staying on the ground and never getting up again.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine the strength in that mindset. And I love how comedy can put you in that mindset where it's like it's almost like you're constantly looking for material. And so all the challenges that come along, it's like, oh, that could be good for content, you know. So it instantly makes you reframe it as the disaster is happening. You could almost laugh at it in the moment, I imagine.
Yeah. And when you can laugh at something, I think you've experienced this, it doesn't have as much power over you.
Yeah.
You
You're almost
know,
not taking it
it's,
seriously. Yeah. It's
yeah,
it's gonna be all right.
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's just fodder for your set
Yeah.
called life.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we're doing a nice short episode here to start us off on this podcast. And so we'd love to wrap up with just something that really stands out for you when you think about your journey of kind of the challenges and the successes and kind of being where you're at with kind of having multiple groups and having success in what you're doing. What would you say really stood out as something that you wish you knew earlier, or that you would give advice to your earlier self?
I think one of the things that I come up against, and because I know this is so much easier to handle, is when you have a business, you're going to want to quit all the time, like sometimes every day. And that doesn't mean you should quit. It just means you may need to tweak something. It may mean that you've lost connection with your big why of why you're doing it. It could be that you're not in the right group. It could be a million different things. You need to pivot in some way. So I wish I had known. I think I wouldn't have taken it so hard and spent so much time contemplating my belly button if I knew that it's normal to have highs and lows in business, and that when you're at your lowest, it doesn't mean it's time to give up. It just means it's time to pivot or choose differently or get some support,
Hmm.
or have an advisory board or get a coach or whatever you need.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like knowing that there's going to be bumps and dips and just knowing that you might need to pivot, but it doesn't mean you need to give up. You don't need to get off the roller coaster. It might just be, yeah, a turn or a
Yeah.
dip that you need to go through.
And it
Um,
doesn't mean that what you have to offer is not valuable. That was a big one for me. Like I
mm,
would offer an offer and people wouldn't sign up. And I started going, well, maybe it's just not that interesting or valuable. And maybe I should hang it up and maybe I should just go garden for a while or whatever. And you're like, no, no, what you have is really valuable. It's just maybe it's your wording or who you're talking to or what's your energy when you're approaching people. There's a many factors.
yeah. It reminds me of a story I've been hearing lately where it's been told in different ways, but this son comes to his dad and says like, I need to sell this old car and, how much is it worth? And he goes, well, go down to the, junkyard and see what they'll take. And he offers them pennies for the scrap metal. And then he goes, okay, we'll go down to the car dealership and see what they think. And then the car dealership says, oh, this is still running. Okay, we'll give you, $1,000. And then he goes, okay, we'll try one more time. Go to like this, the pawn antique shop or whatnot, and takes it to kind of a dealer, classics dealer, and it ends up being worth, you know, uh, um, tons of money. And so the lesson is really kind of you might have something really valuable, but it just depends on who it's valuable to. So don't
Yeah.
just assume if somebody says, no, that's a terrible idea, or I don't want to come to your course or your program or your workshop or whatever. It's like it might just not be for them, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It might be
Yeah. It's
perfect
just
for
not
somebody
for
else.
them. Yeah, someone said that offering what you have is like asking people if they want a piece of cake. It's like some people are going to say yes and some people are going to say no, and it doesn't mean that you or the cake is crap. It just means that some people want cake and some people don't. So not to take it personally, although I have for sure at some points. What did I do wrong? Did I say the wrong thing?
Oh,
No, they just
yeah.
don't want cake. It's okay.
Well, this has been great. I appreciate the quick conversation we've been able to have and learn a little bit about you and what you're doing. Rita's a part of our Veets network where we do networking online. And if you're in the San Jose Bay Area, we do in-person events as well each month. You can find our website at veets.io. That's veets.io. And where can people find you, Rita, and support you?
So if you're a mom, I would love you to join my Facebook group called Calm Mom Alliance right on Facebook. It's free to join. And if you want to check out my website, it's becomingawake.com.
Perfect. And we'll put all that in the notes so you can click on links. But thanks so much, Rita. I appreciate you being a part of our first podcast.
Thank you, Matt. It's
All
not.
right. Take care. Good.